let him go.
Oh, Larry,
Yeah.
I'm so
We're
sorry.
gonna get him something better than a job. An education.
Oh.
Get you some knowledge and you'll be fireproof. It's gonna be 50 cents for the book. They give these away for free. Well, they do. I don't.
Larry Crown is out of a job, but Tom Hanks still working. Hey, it's Sam Rubin. Welcome to a very special edition of Hollywood Uncensored, where we spend our 30 minutes with none other than Tom Hanks. New movie is Larry Crown, which Tom not only stars in, co-wrote, directed. Well, thanks for doing this, Tom.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Great to be uncensored.
Do you feel uncensored?
I'm going to drop some F-bombs here and really make them. I'm not going to do that.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
All right, I don't.
One thing about this movie that I think strikes so close to home, and you said this phrase, the economy caught up with you. I mean, the economy's been sour for a while. Is that something that prompted a little bit?
Well, here's an example of how it works. A long time ago, I started working on this, and I said, okay, I'm a selfish actor. A guy loses his job for almost no reason whatsoever, in that kind of like corporate blah, blah, blah,
right.
We're letting you go kind of thing. Goes back to school, say 6 years ago, say Julia Roberts is one of his teachers. Guess what happens? Now that alone is kind of like a movie. But as we went on, things just, began happening. And that thing came along called, what was it? Bundled derivative credit default swaps or something like that.
Sure, yes.
That makes no sense to anybody except to the three investment bankers, and it hits home with the people who have taken a loan out on their house. So it caught up with us, and we had a read through, the very first read through, in which you get really good actors to come in, and so you can hear what it sounds like. And after that, Nia and I were talking. Nia Vardalos,
sure,
who co-wrote it. She said, Larry can lose his house now. I said, oh, you're right. And if he does, because of all the stuff that was going on, then that actually impacts everything that he goes through. What he learns in school, how he is proactive with a lady at the bank, and also how at the end of the movie he is actually in a better place, but he's not in the same hole he was, but he has no credit. He'll never be able to get a loan, and he's starting all over.
But does somebody somewhere say, and I don't know if people have conversations with you like this, hey, wait a minute, that's not quite the fairy tale. Oh, it should be a little more upbeat.
Well,
don't you want to make it happen?
Well, okay. We always said this was going to be an authentic movie that is going to make you feel as though things are going to be okay. Not all wrapped up in a wonderful little ball, but things are going to be okay. And if this had been, like, say, a much more expensive studio movie, we might have had to deal with notes like that. But that the studios didn't like our movie and didn't want to make it, and we got financing outside of it, we were able to stick to our own brand of authenticity.
All right, this whole notion of the studios not liking it.
Well, I'm unfair. They have a tough job, the folks at the studios. This is not a movie that they really know how to make or market or put out there. They do other things that you report on all the time. Huge movies, killer torture movies, guys swearing and getting laid movies. Those are the comedies. And what's the other one? Oh, G-rated movies for the entire family. That's the stuff that they do and they love it. Or, small Oscar kind of serious movies.
But do you think it's problematic? I mean, I think that's a shift. That frankly, it's incumbent upon guys like you now to break out of those very narrow boxes.
Well, okay, quick movie economics 101.
Please.
Okay, here's what you might know this, because this is the way it used to work. The domestic box, this is going to be fascinating. People, get out your crib sheets.
Take a note.
Because here's what I know, because I've had it explained to me.
Okay.
It used to be your domestic box office paid for the making of your movie. All right? So if your movie costs $150 million, the domestic box office pays for that. The international box office pays for the marketing of the movie. So there, you come out at kind of like you've broken even if you've done well in both those places. Then all the real money was made on DVDs. But DVDs have collapsed. No one buys them anymore. Very few people rent them anymore. So therefore, a third of the business has gone out of that formula. That the corporate structure that is all of the main studios means that they have to make their money at the box office now. So they need a very particular type of film, well-made film with good people in it, in order to live up to the pressures of trying to make money in the biz.
To that end, when somebody's calling you on the phone and saying, "Hey Tom, Green Lantern 7, and maybe you'll be the dad," I can't imagine that's interesting to you.
Well, I'm very lucky that so far I get to do some other things, but that might be a great part. Could be, I don't know. But so far, they haven't even called me for Green Lantern 2, so let's not jump the gun.
You said the phrase, actors are inherently selfish, or you're a selfish actor. Do you really feel that way? People don't refer to you in that way.
Look, I go back to when I was, the best job I ever had, the best job for any actor, I think, is it's to be in a company of actors in a rotating repertory theater. When I was young, I went to see the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco. I went alone because chicks wouldn't go. Hey, you want to go see The Master Builder on Saturday night? No? Or Berkeley Repertory Theater, places like that. And I worked at the Great Lakes Theater Festival in Cleveland, where you had a season of 6 plays, 6 number of plays, and you wanted the best part in each one of those plays. If it was Richard III, you wanted to play Richard III. If it was Our Town, you wanted to play the stage manager. So what was the question again? I got off on my background somehow.
You know what? We're going to tie into that question in just a second, because when we come back right here, we'll talk to Tom Hanks about life behind the camera. Are actors inherently selfish or not?
Oh, that's right.
Wasn't that a good toss to a break?
Yeah, that was a very good toss to a break.
We will do it as Hollywood Uncensored continues here. Back in just a minute.
Day's just been made. Excuse me. This class is canceled. The state charter requires a minimum of 10 students per class, or else it costs more for us to be here than not, so. Okay, thanks.
Is this speech 217?
Class is not canceled, but what kind of grade will Larry Crown get? And what about those student-teacher conferences? Sam Rubin here, special edition of Hollywood Uncensored with Tom Hanks, the new movie Larry Crown. And we were just talking about this idea of actors being selfish or not selfish. And again, people
competitive, selfish,
right,
whatever you want. You want to have the good mojo of the part. You want to be able to be the guy that does the thing, no matter where you are. Even if you're too young to play the part or too old, you always want to say, well, what's the best part in it for me? And with Larry Crown, that's the way it started. I didn't want to direct a movie. I wanted to be a guy like Larry Crown. I wanted to be a guy who had gone into the Navy out of high school, and here's this explained to him. You are a 4 on the advanced scale of 1 to 4, 4 being the least recommended for a promotion. What does that mean? All it means is you're fired and I'm out of a job. I wanted to play that guy who drives.
And why did you want to play that guy?
Well, because it is something that is immediately recognizable to absolutely anybody. It's like a paradigm for all of our struggles right now. Anybody, no matter what job they have, can walk into work one day thinking, God, I love this job. The people are fun. I got a good parking place. I got a nice cup of coffee. Traffic wasn't bad. Sam Rubin to the common break area, please. What? Oh, hi. And it could happen to anybody. And then the process of reinvention of what you do then, that's the American dream. The American dream is if you have to or if you want to, you can pack up and move on to the other side of the hill and see what's going on there and start your life all over again.
Your producing partner, Gary, said to me that you vividly remember growing up in Oakland and not being in a circumstance where necessarily you could pay all the bills.
I remember that happening when I lived in Reseda.
Okay.
Well, look, it's interesting because you've asked a very serious question, so I'm going to put on my serious.
All right.
Serious acting, my serious acting.
Oh, those are like good. Those are. Now, can I see? Are there any prescription to those glasses?
The bottoms are.
Okay,
bottoms are my reading.
All right.
My reading prescription. That's all I need.
Very good.
All right.
So basically, your producing partner Gary said to me that you remember these times in Oakland, and then you were saying you couldn't pay the bills in Reseda either.
That's true.
And it didn't seem
Sherman Oaks, man. It might have been Sherman Oaks.
And it didn't seem like a faraway circumstance to you even today.
Well, do you remember anything that you've gone through? You know, it's like kind of like having been in the Marine Corps. You know, you always remember this tough time. That if you can stand that, you can almost stand anything, and that if you can survive that, you're in pretty good shape. But you know, the fear that I was, I had a son. I only had one kid back then, and when my daughter was born, I had been fired from Bosom Buddies and didn't work for a year. And so no, those things, those lessons do not go away. Those nighttime sweats and those looks at yourself at 3 o'clock in the morning where you kind of like are in the mirror. You just, what's going to happen to me? And your vision of having to pack up the car and leave the town and go back to wherever it is you came from.
And during that year. Was that
years Plural.
During those years, before, and the way that I understand the story goes is Ron Howard saw you at the Happy Days cameo or something and said, hey, you might be good for that movie.
Actually, Ron didn't. It was Lowell Gans and Babalu Mandel. I took a guest shot, graciously offered to me from the folks at Happy Days, because we had all been on the Paramount lot, and I played softball with them, and they needed. So I went down and did a guest shot, and Ron Howard had already stormed off Happy Days.
In a huff.
He always said, well, I'll direct films myself. And they said that everybody else in the industry had turned down this goofy mermaid movie that was going to be directed by Opie Cunningham for the Walt Disney Company. So they said, oh, maybe this guy would be good. But Ron didn't see me. I didn't meet him until I walked into audition for the motion picture Splash.
And then is that the demarcation in your mind? You know, it's always that did that change is that what changed everything?
Well, I mean, you go through everything does. Everything that happens does. I mean, if I hadn't done Our Town at Chabot Junior College, if I hadn't taken this one class drama and performance, if I hadn't not been cast in a play in Sacramento and so I had to do another play where I met the guy who invited me back to Cleveland and then met the people in Cleveland who said, you got to come to, it's all a long, long string, but that was a good phone call to get.
We jump back right here. The Celebrity Mule Train. Tom has been out it for Larry Crowne. We'll talk about that life behind the camera, and more Hollywood Uncensored continues here.
Take off your pants.
Really?
Get behind that rack and take off your pants.
You know, I can't really afford all these new threads.
'Tis gratis, Lance. Lance, my boyfriend's here. Put your pants back on.
All right, Tom Hanks has his pants on here as he joins us at Hollywood Uncensored. You know what? You can text him to 515151. Text my name, Sam. Say hi to Tom. Question about Larry Crowne, anything. We want to hear from you, and we want to hear from you about the woman in that scene who is gorgeous and not American.
Gugu Mbatha-Raw, I only saw her test, which was a scene that did not end up in the movie, but was a good test scene. And I did not know that she was English. And then when she came in, I said, I'm sorry. And she's all, you know, no, I just can't believe that you're welcoming me in here. I mean, I'm having so much fun. I said, okay, first of all, you're English, and you have just blown my mind. Secondly, where have I seen? And she had played Ophelia on Broadway with Jude Law, which was one of the rare Hamlets on Broadway to make a ton of money, which was substantial.
Here's the thing that I think would be cool being director Tom Hanks. You pick up the phone, hey, you want to, no one's ever said no. Who has said no? No one.
Well, it's a lot of times it's availability, but you also don't want to put anybody on the stand, so to speak. So it's like, listen, you can't hurt my feelings. If you like it, come on and we'll work it out. And if not, don't worry about a thing. It doesn't happen. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Like when calling Julia for this. I mean, Julia became a friend. We made Charlie Wilson's War. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's the Tom Minions applauding.
Thank you very much.
Are you making that? Are you making that reference because you felt it wasn't received?
Oh no! That's just the joke that you make when you mention a movie and there's always somebody applauds out there, which doesn't happen in Europe, by the way. I want to point this out. We were friends based on that. We made each other laugh more than anything else. And to call her up and say, okay, this is one of these, honey. This is a business call, so you know, let's put all the business rules in that it can't offend me. Don't worry if it works out. And she was actually in Italy, beginning the making of Eat, Pray, Love. So it was a big thing for her just to take the time to read it, and the fact that she saw that there was a potential in it to do something great. I'm not comfortable. Gary is comfortable making those calls. See, as a producer, this is what you have to do as a producer. You either get somebody on the phone and beg them to do something they don't want to do. Please, 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 just give us more, just a little more, please, please, please. Or you get somebody on the phone and tell them they don't get to do something they really want to do. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. That's not a really fun job, but it is when it works out.
But in this producerial world, having your name attached to things, all the documentaries about space, these great HBO things, Paul Giamatti sat in this chair and said more people spoke to him about John Adams than anything he's ever done. I mean, that must be a great feeling to.
Well, it's an interesting. Okay, there's two things. First of all, we're not making, when we do this, like the Pacifics and John Adams, we're not making documentaries. So we're making stuff up that we're trying to get into the human behavior more than the historical mojo. The second time I've used mojo sitting here, and I'm getting scared now. All right. But we are making documents, meaning these things will be up on some shelf somewhere as a representation of our American history, meaning 30 years from now or 3 years from now, someone will say, was doing this report and I had to learn about colonial times, so I saw John Adams and I was amazed by this. So you have to be accurate. At the same time, you have to be personal, and that's not an easy thing to do sometimes, but that's the business that we've taken upon ourselves, and thank goodness we have people like HBO that can see that money can be made. Paul Giamatti is probably recognized more for John Adams and other things because John Adams is probably seen by 17 million people, which is a hell of a lot more than most motion pictures.
Well, but you know what? To have people see motion pictures, you got to promote the motion picture. We'll talk about the Celebrity Mule Train plus Tom's life off camera as Hollywood Uncensored continues here.
Hey, we all got free tattoos. I wanted something in Japanese, so check this out. That one says courage, that one says spirit. Courageous spirit.
I can see you. This is glass. I can see through glass.
There's a tattoo in Larry Crown among the undiscovered pleasures, soon to be discovered by audiences as it hits theaters now. Sam Rubin here on Hollywood Uncensored. You want to tweet me? You can. It's Sam on TV. Tom Hanks is at Tom Hanks. There's a story behind the tattoo?
Oh, yeah, okay. So we went around the world promoting this movie, including Singapore. I'd never been to Singapore. Asian audience. And at the screening of the movie, that got one of the biggest laughs of the entire film because they can read the Asian letter of the tattoo.
Oh, that's funny.
So they actually went berserk. And the next day, everybody, oh, that scene with the tattoo was funny. Got the biggest reaction of the night. Oh, of course, because they can read what the lettering said. It's soy sauce.
It's a soy sauce?
Yes, indeed.
Here's the thing, this phrase that you have used, the Celebrity Mule Train, and I love...
Da, 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 da.
So when we both started doing this in the era of black and white TV, you did 3 interviews, maybe Barbara Walters, and you were done.
Yeah, you do the Hollywood Foreign Press, and then the three networks.
All right, and now you tell me, a month, 6 weeks?
Well,
10 billion miles?
It went through that phase where you were always in a hotel in Los Angeles.
Right. Poster, flowers behind you.
Yeah, and maybe in London, and everybody, you'd sit in a chair, literally they'd lock you down with a lavalier mic, and one after another for 6 minutes each.
I call it the parade of bad sport coats.
You would do 40 television interviews in which, you know how many of them started like this? So, Tom Hanks, tell me about your new movie. And when you've been doing it for 5 days, and that guy is the 37th interviewer to come in, and he doesn't even ask you a question, but just says, so, tell me about your movie. You know what you want to do? You want to leap across the table or the chair. You want to tear down the little thing behind you. Anyway, so that's the way it used to be. But now, then it went through this phase where all media was national. You could just kind of like hit the biggies. But now, all media is local and actually quite personal. So it's smart to go out. Well, we had a great time, didn't we? We had a blast, actually. We worked just enough. I mean, we got up early in the morning and went at it till about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And if you do anything that is memorable or funny or unique,
the weather in Miami on Univision.
Oh, okay. Now this is interesting.
Okay.
All right. So I'm on Univision. It speaks, I think, like to 120 million people worldwide. I'm doing the weather with Chiqui Delgado, the former Miss Venezuela, very lovely lady. And we just goofed around. And this went around the world. And I have a feeling that if I'd done the same thing with, say, Al Roker, maybe it would not have been shown as often as it was. I don't think me goofing around was nearly as unique to, say, the news editors of the world and the people who choose the things that are going to be on as Chiqui Delgado was.
I get the sense, and maybe it's acting, you like it.
the movie has to be able to warrant it. If you're making a very serious movie or one of those big, huge pieces of studio commerce, good movie or not, there's really not much you can say after a while. But if it's like Larry Crown, which is a very personal movie and one that I think is funny and entertaining, there's a lot you can go off and talk about. But after a while, it's, you know. Yeah, if it's a different type of film, I don't know if you could go out and do the full Celebrity Mule Train.
Well, Tom has completed the Celebrity Mule Train, so when we come back, it's crystal ball time. Our patent-pending prediction segment is just ahead.
Like, does anybody have any? Does anybody have any?
Guests of Hollywood Uncensored go gold class. It is the first-class way to see a movie and offers the ultimate escape for movie lovers, from the amazing lounge area to the plush micro suede recliners to the best food and beverages and service anywhere. Check it all out at goldclasscinemas.com. Time now for the crystal ball. I know Tom Hanks has been looking forward to this. This is where, and here's the only criteria.
Yes.
It's a prediction that you believe in your heart of hearts someday will actually come true.
Oh, geez.
In a far off, here he's going to channel it now. Here comes the Karnak thing.
I see it now, Sam. Wait, let me check out my talking points.
Okay.
Hold on. Sam's talking points. This is what came to my house earlier today. Ah, yes. I don't have my,
Your
my reading glasses. I know we don't have a lot of time. Ah, yes. Oh, this is the, okay, here it is. All right. I predict that someone other than me will notice that the back of Sam's head looks very much like the back of John F. Kennedy's head. Now, will you just turn around?
All right.
And turn around. All right, go all the way around. All right, now frame it up right about here.
Okay.
Ready? And now say, Ich bin ein Berliner.
Ich bin ein Berliner.
Now, doesn't that look like John F. Kennedy? Yes or no? That is going to be something that's going to haunt you for the rest of your career.
All right, well, thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
As for me, I tell you what, I think the obsession with 3D is going to go away, diminished by the fact that movies that are moving, that are character-driven, movie like Larry Crown doesn't need all that depth to give it depth. How's that?
The truth is, we shot Larry Crown in 8D. There are 8 dimensions to Larry Crown.
You're just waiting for people to catch up with it.
Well, it's a perception thing. You know, you got to be trained. You got to be able to see it.
We thank you very much for watching Hollywood Uncensored. Tom, thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Very, very much. We'll see you next time here.